Hi, Devin. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks so much for having me.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you so very much, Devin, for being here too. And you see, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two main things. And I do this so often that I think it has now become an anthem. So, Devin, I want to thank you firstly for investing in yourself. And you see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Devin, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there is this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes, and it looks so dry and, not attractive at all. So I just walked past it. But you see, just recently, when I was on that same road, Devin, something changed. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And instantly, I got the urge to, move closer and have a good look. Then when I got closer, Devin, it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful branches and beautiful leaves, and it looks so attractive and beautiful. And you see, not just mangoes, but ripe mangoes. Then here's me standing, staring in amazement, and I just kept looking and saying, wow. Now you're talking, mango tree. This is it. Now you're talking. The point is the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person that you are, Devin. That alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the message from me to be on the show. Yeah, because, this amazing fruit that I was reading about, I want myself and my audience to, benefit from it. So thank you so very much. And secondly, Devin, thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing I could do about it. So thank you so very much. Yeah,
I love that. And I love that analogy.
thank
You're
you.
right, right? Sow the seeds today, reap them tomorrow. And
Hmm,
yeah, I love that story. That's
I
awesome.
tell you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, you see, I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Devin, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking, because I believe in order to move from a terrible situation to a beautiful one, Devin, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, not just knowledge, but the application of it. And you see, Devin, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge, and darkness means ignorance. I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very, very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Devin on the show is for the sake of the listeners. You see, Devin, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. How to do this and how to do that, how to become this and how to become that. So these folks trust me for quality information. And I'm totally convinced that our conversation is not just going to be insightful alone, but also impactful. It will cause change. I firmly believe that. So to get started, Devin, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We're just so curious right now. We want to know how you got here. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Devin, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you again for having me. Yes. Anytime anyone asks, I always like to say I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love everything business. So I've owned everything from a marketing agency to a co working space to a manufacturing company to doing various forms of consulting to owning a cat cafe, which is a super random project. All of those things have led to exposure to hundreds of businesses, hundreds of strategies, and the ability to really have an outsider's perspective to business, to growth, to the journey from a professional standpoint, being a husband, a father, and inside of the business, being a leader and an advocate or doing sales. And so, there's the two paths there that have come together to what I do now, which is help people write and publish books and help people build $1 million networks. But both of those things are built on the foundation of this serial entrepreneur passion for business, and then the personal journey that supports that.
Amazing. Helping people and helping people. Words I love to hear. And you see, while you were speaking, that was what I was looking for. I was looking for that word, help, and I got it. You see, folks who are passionate about helping others solve a particular problem, they are very important to this planet, of which you're one of us. Devin, thank you for what you're doing. It's amazing. I love it. So let us begin with the questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So now, let us say someone just, okay, Devin, I heard you on the Witnesses podcast and I've got a question. How can I take back control over my business development and how can I get 100 times the results? What would your response be?
Love that. It's a great question. And it's something that every sales professional or business owner struggles with, right? Is how do I predictably and sustainably grow my business in a way that I can manage, right? Often that looks like hiring outside agencies or doing things that, like you mentioned, let go of control. And I wrote the book Connection Expansion. And in Connection Expansion, I talk about the Connection Expansion system. And the system is built on 5 key principles. But one of the principles in there is the real key to this question, and it's control what you can control. So often in sales and business development, we are so focused on measuring things we can't control or implementing systems that we actually can't control either. And so a great example of that is if we think about a networking event, right? Going out and actually face-to-face meeting people to build our network. We can control the goal we set. We can control showing up. We can control going in the room. We can control the questions we ask. We can control getting their contact information. We can control how we follow up. We can control the language we use. We can control the frequency we follow up, and we can control that we never give up and we follow up forever. If we control all of those metrics using best practices, it allows us to, 1, take all the pressure off ourselves because we're held to real expectations, and 2, have way more success because we're playing a game that we actually can play versus playing a game that others control. And so a quote I like to say that goes with that is, remember, everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold. We are taught, no matter what market you live in, no matter what country you live in, to consume, right? We are a consumer society now. Your buyer is positioned to purchase. All you have to do is allow them to make the purchase. However, most of the systems and strategies that are implemented actually create more friction and more problems during the business development process than supporting building real relationships and real transactions.
Oh, man, that was a great response. Control what you can control. I got that. Okay. Do you think people should stop selling and start connecting? What do you think about that?
Percent. Yep. So this is another quote I use often. I like to use commission breath as an example, right? There's those times in your business development or your sales journey where you have to close a deal. Like the reality is you need revenue because you have to pay your payroll or pay yourself or pay bills or take care of your family. Great. And so all the advice in this segment is really hard to take when you're in that need of urgency to close deals. However, if we focus on just building quality relationships and adding value to those relationships and genuinely being curious about other people and asking really good questions and making positive connections to those people and providing resources and doing all the things that are focused on everybody else, and then we follow up and nurture and we train people to do what we want, which is give us connections after we've given them connections. In the long run, that authentic, real approach will generate infinitely more results than any short-term tactics you're trying to implement. But you have to stop all of the other stuff. You have to stop the weird sales strategies, the slimy outreach, the best messaging strategy. Like all that has to go out the window because you have to get back to actually caring about people, really connecting with them, genuinely listening, and focusing on adding value. If you can commit to doing those things, then the connection expansion system and consultative sales and all these other things can be used to have a huge impact. But yes, we have to stop just chasing sales.
I got that. In other words, Yeah, you want to pay bills, you want to pay this and all of that. Put yourself somewhere first, then you prioritize the folks you want to serve first. They come first, then you nurture them and help them, like you mentioned, give them resources and all of those things. Then on the long run, they get to do what you want them to do, which is to buy whatever it is you're selling. So in other words, quality relationship should come first. Building connection should come first. I got that. And that was a beautiful one. Okay, we still have some questions here. So why do professionals struggle with getting a predictable amount of referrals from the client and current network?
I love that question. So in the book, I talk about it. It's called the referral dilemma. And if I ask a room full of people, or if I ask you listening, what's your number one source of business? Often the answer is word of mouth, right? Referrals. If I ask you what you would like more of, often the answer is referrals, right? And so usually people's best source of business is word of mouth, and what they want more of is word of mouth or referrals. The gap is, how do we predictably get that? And a crazy statistic I found when writing the book is less than 5% of the people you ask for referrals will respond. Less than 5%. I don't know about you, but I hold myself to much higher standards than 5%. Like 5% in any industry is not passing. And so this begs the question, how do we get more out of our current database, out of our current client list, out of our current network? And the key to it is changing our ask. And so let me explain that. When I ask you right now, who do you want to know, right? If I ask anyone listening, like, who could I connect you with? Your gut answer is a customer, right? You're going to reply with the ideal customer profile, right? So what is the best prospect for you? That's fantastic. But let me explain what happens. You tell me what kind of customer you want. I start thinking through my customer list. Let's assume I actually have someone that I go, you know what? You're right. Based on the service you offer and based on the customer you want to meet, I can think of somebody. Now, this is where it gets hard. You now want me to make an introduction between this person and my network to you with the intent for you to sell them a product or service. So now the person I'm introducing is already coming in with their guard up a little bit because they feel like they're about to be sold. And we're going back to that quote of everybody wants to buy, no one wants to be sold. So we're doing it backwards. In order to have success with our network, we have to shift the ask. And so this goes to the connection expansion exercise. And so what I teach people, and I use my own networking with my clients, what I want to teach you is you have to stop asking for clients. You have to start asking for people who have access to them. And so in the connection expansion exercise, we go from looking for ideal clients to vendors, right? Where do our clients spend money? Where do our clients gather? Who educates our clients? Who has influence over our clients? Where are those things? And so I'll use a real estate example. It's something people can relate to. If I ask a realtor who you want to know, they typically say a mortgage lender or an insurance agent, because those are the two kind of main things. If every realtor is asking for those two things, you're playing in a crowded market. Instead, that same realtor could be asking for pest companies, alarm companies, solar companies. If they're going after first-time buyers, which tend to be parents, maybe parent-teacher associations or new parenting classes. There are so many more things you can ask for that don't have the friction of sale, but you'll get more results. So if we go to your current network and say, hey, a great referral source for us is business CPAs, your network will likely produce connections for you because there's no friction or tension of being sold. They feel like they're helping you, and the person they're connecting, they feel like they're making a positive connection where both parties win versus someone being sold. So we have to shift the ask. If you just shift the ask, you'll get more out of your current network, current clients.
If they ask, I got that. And it's still all about building that quality relationship and prioritizing it above this urgency to sell your stuff. And I got that. So let us get personal a bit. What is, should I say, a cat cafe or cat cafe? And what inspired you to start the business?
Yeah, so I love talking about the Cat Cafe. It's definitely the most random business I've owned. And it's something that even my friend group, when I told them what we were doing, kind of told me I was crazy, which is okay. If you remember the Be the Crazy One commercial, like I love that. And I love being the oddball. So yeah, Cat Cafe, I relate it to trampoline parks. It tends to be something people can relate to, right? You pay by hour to jump on a trampoline. You pay by hour to come and hang out with cats. Now, The benefits are for senior citizens, college students, or people whose spouses are allergic to animals. They can go and have that animal interaction. There's a lot of mental benefits to having animal interaction. And so that was the core of the business. We also had a coffee shop up front. I had seen the business model years ago, and I've always loved animals. And so there was this kind of moment where I went, hey, this sounds like a project that I want to put time and energy into. And so my wife and I visited one, and she's a mural artist. And so she looked at it visually and said, hey, I think we could do better. And I looked at it financially and went, man, they're actually generating a good amount of cash. And so this combination of my business expertise and her visual expertise allowed us to launch a project. And what's really interesting about that project is, yes, we had a huge impact, but we were able to launch the business in 45 days. So 45 days from the day we started developing the commercial space to the day we opened, which is really fast. And then we sold the business to an employee after 6 months. So we were able to have a successful exit in the business after 6 months, while still having a huge impact, being cash positive, and doing all these things. The reason we were able to do those things is because of the network we've built over the last decade, following the exact strategies we've been talking about. And so, yes, super cool business model, super impactful, lots of adoptions, lots of personal health benefits to the people who interacted. But from a statistical business standpoint too, we were able to do something really different in a really different way, really fast, and do it as a couple. But all of that is only successful because of the network we had built.
Amazing. And that's the power of having vision as a family. You see, when couples come up with something, it's always marvelous and amazing, I tell you. And that's a great one. Okay, we have one more to go. How true is the statement, you are one connection away from massive success in your life or business?
Yeah. So let me tell you a quick backstory on that, because I love that. I help people write books for a living. And, with one of the hats I wear, that's what we do. And your title and subtitle to your book is so impactful. And I had wrote a very strategic subtitle, something about building your $1 million network in a predictable way with a predictable system. I don't know. It was very sterile. And my mentor, who was helping me with the book, said, no, that doesn't feel right. What do you really, what's the real message? And that's where what you just read came from, is really there is one connection between you and greatness. The issue is you're likely setting yourself up to fail because you're closing off opportunities to connect with people. You're making assumptions. You're protecting your calendar. You're doing all these things that feel right, but actually are sabotaging your ability to build a big network. And so if we look at the core principles, two of the core principles play together. One is never make an assumption about a connection. And then the other is be willing to meet everybody. And so I stand on those two things. The whole time I've been in business, in my professional life, and even in college, I tried to meet everyone I could and just be open to the conversation. And what you'll find is there's so much opportunity around you, but you continue to get rid of it because you assume, oh, this conversation is not going to be valuable, or, oh, this relationship's not an ideal client. But we don't know who they know. We don't know who their family knows. We don't know what their family does. We don't know if they own another business other than the business card they just handed us. We don't know what boards they sit on. We don't know where they volunteer. We don't know where they live. We don't know if their brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin's nephew owns the exact business we're trying to target. We don't know anything. Yet so often in networking and business development, we're closed off because we're protecting our calendar and we want to be careful with our time, or we're making these assumptions about who's an ideal client and who's not. But my biggest deals have come from the most subtle places: birthday parties, in line at coffee shops, networking with someone I never thought there was value, but I stuck to my script. I asked the questions. I booked the meeting. I had a deep conversation. Leads to 6 or 7 figures in business revenue. You have to stay curious. And if you stay curious, you never know what one conversation you're going to have that opens the one door to the thing you need. Whether the thing you need is a new job, whether the thing you need is revenue, maybe it's a strategic partnership, maybe it is that new big 6, 7, 8 figure client. Whatever you're looking for, it's out there, and it is one connection away from you having whatever that thing is.
Powerful. And I got that. That's a beautiful one. And I'm going to take that as a final thought. So for folks who like to reach out to you, Devin, or ask questions or purchase your materials, how can that be possible?
Yes. So Connection Expansion is the name of my book. You can purchase it on Amazon, a Kindle paperback and hardcover audiobook coming out soon. Or you can visit me on any social platform, DP Sizemore, or my website, devinsizemore.com, DEVINSIZEMORE.com. All of my links are on there. And just like I stated, I'd love to have a conversation with you. If there's something in here that inspired you, I'd love to learn your story and see if there's a connection I can make for you.
Beautiful. I love that. So that's going to be the end of the show, Devin. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this amazing stuff with us. It means a whole lot, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Great conversation, great questions, and love the impact you're having in the world.
Beautiful.